Master Reddit. Subscribe for more videos.
What fact is ignored generously? That just because someone tells you something is a fact doesn't mean that it is. Make sure to do your research. I'll take your word for it. But how else am I going to write my essay on the surge of disinformation? That we all have confirmation bias. In my studies I've found that I do not. Oh wait. I controlled for my confirmation bias, turns out I have the smallest confirmation bias. No one has a smaller confirmation bias than I do, in the entire academia, and people come up to me and tell me I am the most objective researcher and I write papers with the most logical conclusions and most rigorous models. No bias, they have the bias. But I have no bias. My bias level is tremendously non-existent. This annoys me so much because I am a scientist, and so many scientists will act on their biases thinking they're being completely rational. And have trouble mixing subjective opinions with facts, especially when people are involved. Edit, people are focusing on the scientific results angle. While this is definitely a party of it, I will also highlight the extensive issues in how science is done relating to how minorities are treated in STEM, and how many argue these are not due to biases by scientists as if they're not capable of having them. No one is absolutely scientific in either their behavior or anything else. Just because it's legally allowed doesn't mean you're not a douchebag for doing it. Example, free speech isn't freedom from consequence. You legally can say near whatever you want, doesn't mean people won't call you a dick for it. The number of people who die after a war to consequences of war, hunger, disease, etc. are not counted in the statistics. Talking for France here, some people who died between the 9th and the 11th of November 1918 were not counted as dead these days, because that would be quite awful for a family to learn that your husband, brother, son, father died the last day before the war stopped. You think that's bad? In the War of 1812, there was an entire battle in New Orleans a couple weeks after the Treaty of Ghent was signed because word hadn't gotten back to the US yet that the war was over. Over 2,000 people died. Oops. Just because some people are naturally talented doesn't mean you shouldn't work hard. Hard work can beat talent when talent doesn't work hard, as my undergrad advisor was fond of saying. But when talent works hard it's game over. Human memory is extremely unreliable. We forget important details. We fabricate memories and convince ourselves that they're true. What we do remember is distorted to conform to our biases. When I was 5 my parents surprised my older sister and I with a trip to Disneyland really early in the morning before our flight. For years I had this memory of it happening and being so excited. They videotaped the whole thing but we had lost the video for years. When we found it I saw that I was actually asleep the whole time. I had completely made up the memory based on my sister and parents talking about it. Yeah, this is especially crazy to me. You can fabricate memories off of talking and thinking about it. Sometimes when you think about things like that long enough you can forget they aren't real. Everyone is a huge hypocrite when it suits them, including meth. Irony of this statement is that if you're ever in a situation where being a hypocrite would suit you but you aren't a hypocrite, then you are a hypocrite because you said you would be but weren't. My brain hurts. France didn't stop executing people by guillotine until 1977. And slavery wasn't legally considered a crime against humanity until 2001. Comparatively speaking, it was a humane way of executing people. Probably better than lethal injection and definitely better than the electric chair. Being at a job for a long time does not mean someone is good at their job. Coworker of mine used to say there is 10 years of experience and then there is 1 year of experience repeated 10 times. I like that saying. A lot of people like to mention the 10,000 hours thing, but fail to mention that you have to be actively trying to learn and better yourself for the majority of those 10,000 hours. Facts aren't opinions. I wish I could upvote this a million times. I'm getting really sick and tired of people who argue 2 points, where one is arguing from evidence-based facts, the other is arguing from a YouTube conspiracy video, and the second tries to take the high road with, you have your opinion, I have mine. No, you fucking window licker, person A has facts, you have idiocy. You have blinkers for your car so that you can tell other drivers that you're changing lanes. Fun fact, it's the law and you need to put them on before you start to move lanes. The importance of getting 7 to 9 hours of sleep every single night. To add to this, 7 to 9 hours of sleep is not the same as a 7 to 9 hour sleep opportunity window. If you're giving yourself a 7-hour sleep opportunity window, you are not getting 7 hours of sleep. Probably more like 6. Admitting to a mistake is not a sign of weakness. Bending over backwards to cover it up and pretending like it never happened is. It's in your best interests too. If you don't own your mistakes, others will and may use them against you. Be careful which mistakes you own. Turns out bragging about you restraining orders doesn't get you a second date. In my adult life, the most valuable lesson I've learned has been to admit mistakes and try to learn from them. Bosses treat you so different when you come to the admitting what you did and telling them how you'll fix it. It's something I definitely had to adapt to. I grew up in a very tight-knit religious community where you were punished even if you admitted to doing something wrong. Thus it became a standard to just lie all the time. Covering up mistakes genuinely worked better. Grew up, got into the workplace, and after a few of those moments found out that it really doesn't work that way. Yes, lying about it and getting caught is worse, but owning the mistake and learning from it makes you look better to your boss. Now that I'm in management, I strive to make sure all my people know that. I try to reward them for fixing their mistakes. We've had to showcase it very publicly when people complain that so-and-so made X and Y mistake, how come they're not in trouble? Because they owned it, fixed it, and learned from it. You get unlimited do-overs with me so long as you're actually doing all three, especially the last one. The problem is, and this is very relevant to corporate life, when you accept a mistake you are very quickly thrown under the bus by the a-holes who are looking for a scapegoat. Sad to say, this is true. Admitting to a mistake is not universally correct. Some others view it as a weakness. Of course, it's exactly the opposite, but we live in the real world, not the hypothetically correct world. Giving birth to a kid doesn't make you an expert on raising them. Nor do they owe you for being born. A lot of people need to realize this. Way too many need to. Animals are much more brutal than people realize. We only see the cute cuddly side on the internet. Cheetah makes friends with a goat, gets more views than warthog gets eaten alive by lions, and lasts a surprisingly long time while it's happening. Animals will eat you alive if they don't think you're a threat to injury. It's out of survival, something bigger and badder might come along and they won't have eaten anything. No, the leopard didn't kill the animal before eating it out of compassion, it just didn't want to take a hoof to the head while it was having lunch. I watched 3 lionesses hunt a warthog and its piglet up close once. 2 of the lionesses made themselves seen while the third slid behind a small mound and snuck through the grass. The warthogs stayed focused on the 2 lions in the open. The hunter got within a few feet and crouched low, ready to strike. Something alerted the warthogs and they took off like a rocket. The lioness, being the queen of the savannah, rolled on her side and started licking her paw. Hugely disappointing. I've seen a bull's testicles being ripped out by hyenas while it's still alive. Nature is fucking brutal, man. Let's not forget that most predators will go for the young and weak as well. We like to imagine a lion taking down the biggest and baddest of the herd when really they'll just take down the calf. Just because I don't agree with you doesn't mean I hate you, and conversely, just because I agree with you, doesn't mean I like you. Both of these points are excellent. No, they are not. But I still like you. Being well known doesn't always make you popular, as you may be well known for pissing yourself in class. This really depends on how you define popular. Frequently encountered as one of the definitions of popular. Also, don't judge me for pissing in class. You can have lots of people know you, but not really know you. Like, your classmates could know you as the kid who pissed himself in class, but not care that you can make a really good burrito, or something.
Thanks for watching. Subscribe for more videos.